By show of hands, how many of us work with clients that have curly or extremely curly hair patterns? How many? Raise a hand. Great. By show of hands, how many of us have clients with that curl pattern that desire color but are afraid of color because they fear that their curl pattern will be disrupted? By show of hands. Great. Now, how many of you would like to take this journey with me where I can introduce to you a full system that can help your clients get that color, their curl pattern, and your integrity of that pattern stays intact? How many of you would like to take that journey with me by show of hands? Great. My name is Khadijah, and today I'm going to demonstrate to you a system that your clients can receive amazing color application without their curl pattern being disrupted. I would like to always start out with our leader, Arnie Miller, who wanted to create a safe space with Matrix for us as stylists that we can grow, we can share, and we can enlighten each other and simplify the process. Help us understand what we're doing and how intentional we are in what we do, and create, as I stated, an environment, a safe space for us as stylists, and also a loving space. So as a stylist, I work with different textures as well. I have many clients from, we might want to say from 1 to 4C. We sometimes run into concerns when our clients are in that 4A, 4B, 4C curl pattern. And we also, I want to make sure that our clients, when we're coloring them, as we stated in the beginning, that their curl pattern is not disturbed. So today I'm going to introduce to a system called Color Coil, and this is by Matrix, and we created a product that will assist in those efforts. It's going to give our clients seamless color, give them the results they desire. However, it's not going to disturb that curl pattern. So I have right in front of me my mannequin, and I've sectioned her off in different areas, in different sections, as you can see. One thing when you're working with clients that have this type of curl pattern, when it's extremely curly, and this is the type of mannequin we work on, I'll give her to like a curly to extremely curly pattern that she's working on, we tend to, it might seem a little bit overwhelming because it's just so much hair. Because when we have curls produce volume, so it appears that it's a lot of hair on the head, because that's what curls do. Curls create volumes. So it gives that appearance that it's a lot of hair, or we think it's a lot of density. So when we look at a client like this that's coming in for a color application, it can sometimes be a bit overwhelming. I've been there, acknowledging it myself. And I know for some of you that might be the reality. So what I did was be very intentional with my subsections so I can be able to control the canvas that I'm working on. Also, a rule of thumb, when we're working on a client, detangling is super, super important when you're working on natural textures. Because if we don't detangle the hair properly, it can slow down our application, and the hair can be a little bit aggressive, like you're in a fighting match when you're trying to apply this color. So what I did first start out was one of our porosity control products. It's called Insecure, and I have put a generous amount on each of my sections before I detangled, and that assisted me with detangling each of the sections. Insecure is one of our products that can be used, has multi-facets, but in this particular dynamic, I used it as a porosity controller. And why would you think I would need a porosity controller on this virgin head? When we're working with a client that has curly hair or extremely curly hair, as you see right now on mannequin, the variation of the cuticle differs on that twist, meaning on the twist, it's slightly open. So it's not the same as if I were working on a client that has straight hair where the diameter is even. When I'm working on a client that has curly hair on the twist, which is the weakest area of a curl, and also the position of that cuticle is slightly bent because of the twist. You all agree? Great. So with our Insecure, we go in and it helps equalize that porosity. So After I detangled my mannequin or my client, we're acting as she's a real client, I went in and asked where her part. I noticed that when she explained in her consultation, she wears her part on the right hand side. So now my color application will be dictated by her parting. I wanted to do something a little different. We do a lot of money, we call it our money pieces, where we put a lot of extra emphasis in the front of the hairline. I am going to demonstrate that. However, I wanted to go in a more aggressive type of application. And when I mean aggressive, meaning I went a little further back in my subsection, and I'm going to do a scalp to end application in this whole entire section of my color. Now, my color choice I'm going to be using today is from our Coral Color line, and I want to chart a little bit about the color. Our Coral Color is ammonia-free, permanent hair color, and we use 6% oil inside of the product, and that oil that we use, no other than coconut oil. And with this coconut oil, it assists in keeping the integrity of the curl pattern in place. So we made sure we added that, so it keeps that definition of that curl as we're lightening the hair or coloring the hair, either or. We also have, being I just stated with the lightening, we have our Curl Light system, which is our lightening system that also includes coconut oil inside of the product. So we're going to work with those two items today on our mannequin, along with another product, which is our SoColor Sync, that is also in our portfolio, that gives us our demi-permanent line that gives great definition, to seamless color, and we usually use that color after a pre-lightening treatment, or you can just use it at any edge or choose. It's multifacets that this SoColor line with our Color Sync can be used. So I started first in my front section, so as I stated, she wears a part. So what I did, I've decided in that part, I took about a 1/2 inch of that section and separated it because I didn't want to apply color on the part. So I went in about a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to section that off. I already went in and mixed our Color Lights, our Curl Lights lightener. I have it in my bowl, and I'm going to put my gloves on right now because we're going to go right in that first application. So I wanted to have what we call like a block type of color. So with my subsection, I started it very wide in the front of the hairline, and I tapered off and a diagonal very small as it goes closer to the nape area. I started some of the application because I know I wanted to get through it so you guys can see it, because most of it's going to be mimicked. So if you look in the front section, I started some of my application. I did a 1/2 of it. We did a virgin application where it's a 1/2 inch away from the scalp, and I pulled it all the way through the ends. Some, like where we taught theoretically in school, that is every virgin application is a 1/2 inch away from the scalp, 1/2 inch away from the ends. But based off of my experience, I go in and I apply our lightener as I'm working with our Curl Lights, and I applied it a 1/2 inch away from the scalp, and I like to pull it all the way through the ends. We just came from one of our amazing trainings in LA, and we studied and went over working with curl patterns. So that was one of our main emphasis in this particular training. So one thing we talked about that is very important is saturation. I'm working right now with our Curl Lights lightener, and I'm going to start with my 1/2 inch away from the scalp, pulling it all the way out to the ends. Saturation is important because if you don't get the product on the hair, it's not going to color. And as much as product as I'm using right now, so I'm going in with our Matrix brush, and I'm applying our Curl Light product on the hair, and I'm putting in heavy application. So even as much application as you can see that I'm putting on with our lightener, it's very important that we work that product in. I always like to go in with the product and smooth the product out, because I want to make sure I'm not rattling that cuticle. I don't like to take my brush and rattle it so much. I like to go in the position that the cuticle lies, which is in a downward position. And that being said, I also like to flip the section up just to make sure that I'm getting all that product where it needs to be placed. I'm now going to go in and take another 1/2 inch section, place that out the way, and go in with our Curl Light ammonia-free lightening system, and I'm going 1/2 inch away from the scalp all the way to the ends. Some like to go half an inch from the ends. That is your choice. But based off of my history as a colorist, I like to take it all the way to the ends. And after I get to the design level where I'm looking for, I go right back to the scalp. And as I stated earlier, we're going to flip that section over, work the product in, go in a downward position as we're working that product in, because we want to keep the cuticle, even though this is a lightening system that we're working with right now, we still want to keep the cuticle intact. So as I stated, you're going to continue this full application. You're going to go all the way and complete this whole section. And once you complete this section, this Curl Lights gives about 5 levels of lift, as I stated, only 5. So you can either have 2 options. You can go in after you do your full application, with your virgin application, go back into the scalp area, apply the lightener, which is our Curl Lights, and then you get to the desired level. You can allow the color to, you can allow the lightener to stay on until you get the desired level of choice. Now we're going to go into a contrast that we have in our other areas. I'm not going to take the mannequin as light in the other areas because this is where my emphasis of my color, where I want it in the application. So now I'm going to turn my mannequin, and as you can see, I already started with some of my foils. We did a slicing technique, and I usually get the question on the floor, well, how thick should the slicing areas be? How thick should they be? Should they be this thick, this big? It's really based off of you as the artist. However, slicing gives a more organic look, so I always like to use the diameter of my little foiling comb to be the measurement and all my slicing. If I can see, when I go in and I create my slicing, I make it very transparent. So I'm going to just demonstrate one of the foils. I'll establish the foils, as you can see, right here on a diagonal starting from the front all the way to the back of the last 2 sections. And you're going to continue the same pattern as we get to the top. We're going on a diagonal, and we're going with the curve of the head. When the head curves, that is the position where we're going to place our foil. So I'm going to go in and on my subsection, in my section, you could go, I'm going to go in, and my section is about like 1/2 inch. And I use the diameter of that comb, and when I see I use a very thin slice, and that's when I grab my foils, and I'm going to go in with this particular slice. I already created, and the color coil product that we're going to be using is our 8CG. That's what I'm working with. I didn't mix. Now I'm going to go in and mix my product and go in and apply my first foil. As I stated, it's 60% oil inside the product, so it gives it has a creamier base because of the oil. And we want that because the key dynamic we're working with is trying to keep the integrity of the curl, so that coconut oil helps to preserve that curl definition. And that's what our biggest fear with our client was. They want to make sure that that definition is present. They don't want to lose that curl pattern. So that's why it's important that we work with our curl foil for color, because we want to keep those curls intact. So I'm going to go back in and take that section, grab my foil, slide out. Some like to, when we're applying the foil, some like to do some back combing before they apply the foil. That's really up to you. I like to make sure I just don't go in so aggressive as it goes to the edge, because we don't want any bleeding out of the product. So when I go back in, I change the position of my brush more on a diagonal, so I can get the product on without the product bleeding out of the foils. And the product that we're using is our Coil Color 8CG. All right, 8CG. So your fold is really based on you. Some people like to do a double fold, some like a single. The fold is basically based off of any individual, the way that whatever the artist likes. And as you can see, I've completed half of the foiling on this mannequin, from the front area of the hairline all the way going into the nape on a curve. So once you finish the application, the application time is based off the artist, so we try to work fast because time is money. But the processing time for our curl lights is a 35-minute process. Now, some of you will say, well, Khadijah, you have the lightener on the side working. Yes. So if you need to take the lightener off if it gets to the desired level you choose to have it at, then by all means do so. Because remember, it's on the opposite side. So it will not have any effect if you keep your foils in to continue with the 35-minute processing time. Okay? We're good. So we're gonna go ahead and get to the level of processing that we desire for our mannequin, and we're going to go in with our product for our shampooing. We have a Curl and Dream, which is our line that we have with our product, where it's our shampoo and our conditioner. And one of the major products that we have, or our ingredients in our product, is our Manuka honey. And it gives definition, it helps give shine to the hair. And we have our oil mask, our rich mask, that is also incorporated in our conditioner and that Manuka honey, which also assists with keeping the shine and the integrity of the curl. So once my mannequin is finished processing, we'll go back to the sink with these two items, okay? So after I do my shampoo and condition, and sometimes people say, well, Khadijah, you condition it before you even put on your So-Color Sink. Conditioning is always a good thing. Some people choose to go in and just shampoo first and then apply their demi or what they're going to use as a toner, or adding more pigment to their to the lighting area, the pre-lighting area. That's your choice. I always strive to just add any more conditioner. I love to use whatever tools that Matrix gives me to keep the hair in a great state. So after that, I'm going to go in with our color sink, and I'm adding my 8BC to the pre-lightened area. And I'm allowed it to process for 20 minutes. So I wanted to give a little contrast, because remember, I use the 8CG with our coral color in the highlighting area. And now when I do my highlights and with my pre-lighting area, I want to add a little bit more depth. So I went in with our 8BC. Even though my mannequin only had 5 levels of lift, always remember, when we're going in with our demi line, it is always suggested to go 1 to 2 levels lighter than the desired level, because we're going to get a lot of great deposit. So we don't want too much deposit. If I lighted my mannequin up to a level 6, I don't want to go in with the 6 because it might give me too much depth. So it's always a cardinal rule when you're working with Color Sync to make sure you go into 1 to 2 levels lighter. We got it? Are we good? How many levels? You got it. 1 to 2 levels lighter. So after I allow it to process for 20 minutes, the finishing product that we're going to be working with and the items that we use in our finishing product, and I'm going to grab my mannequin right now so you guys can see my finished product. She came out very beautiful. And the finishing items that we use is our Curl Can Dream oil, our Curl Can Dream gel, as well as our moisturizing mask. I just want you to see. Ooh. These are the 3 finishing items that we use in our styling. And let's go into it. With this particular client, I wanted to work more with a little bit of hold. Now, the moisturizing cream and the moisturizing cream, the oil, and the gel, they work very well together. So you don't have to worry about any concerns when you're working with these 3 products. I first started out with our moisturizing cream because I wanted to always add a little moisture into our client's hair. When you're working with curly textures, they always tend to be on the drier side. So moisture is very necessary. And don't forget your water. It's a great tool when you're working with curly hair like I have on this mannequin. So I went first in with our moisturizer, put the product through, then I followed with my gel, my Curl Can Dream gel. I wanted a more of a firmer hold in this process. So when I applied it with just a few pumps, subsections on a horizontal sections, and applied the product along with my water. Now, some might say, well, Khadijah, I don't really like too much gel because I don't want my style to be crunchy. With the crunchiness is sometimes needed. I don't even want to use the term crunchiness. The hold is sometimes needed because of the textures. And when you're dealing with these type of textures that are about extremely curly, we need a little bit more hold. So this gel, this is your friend. It can assist you with the hold because it keeps the longevity of style. So when we're doing our comb out, this is the tool to go to. This is go-to. It is our Curl Can Dream oil. And a few pumps, emulsifying it in your hand, will assist in breaking up some of that firmness that some might have a concern with, and gives a natural and organic shine to the hair. I like to work a lot with my fingers and try to keep the style in its place. So later on, when my client wants to even indulge or play around more with this particular color, more with this particular look, they can do so, because we want to always keep the curls intact. We don't want to shift them too much because we want to keep that curl and the style intact. And as you can see, I'm going to take my mannequin off, and as you can see, I got the emphasis exactly where I wanted. I did it very broad, that diagonal section very broad in the front, and tapered off to a very short, like a peekaboo on the sides. And we also have our subtle HCG right inside that gives it a little bit more dimension. It's soft, it feels great, and as you can see, the hair is moving even though it's curly. So don't be afraid to also get your clients to go in for cuts and trims, because the shape and definition does assist with the longevity of our curly clients. So let's go in and let's do a little bit of celebration. We learned a lot today. Let's celebrate that we have a product that can give our clients amazing curls with our lightning system, our permanent line, along with our color sync that gives us maximum results. And then we follow with our products, our finishing products, our oil, our gel, and our moisturizer that just seals the deal and gets us the results that we need, guys. I pray and hope that what I shared with you today assisted you in wanting to purchase these amazing products. I tell you, you won't be disappointed. And as we say, the proof is in the pudding. My name is Khadijah. You can follow me on Instagram at Hair to Die For New Jersey. Take care. God bless. Think, believe, dream, dare, in any order you want to choose it, and choose Matrix. Take care.